I saw the text. Tonight, my place. He's clueless. It wasn't about a late work meeting or a girls' night. It was the blueprint of a lie, and I was done being the side character. Time to flip the script. Before we dive into Leo's story, smash that subscribe button. Your support is key. Now, let's get into it. I remember the exact second the air went out of the room. It wasn't a bang, just the faint ping of a notification. We were sitting on the couch watching some mid-tier Netflix show, the kind of noise you put on so you don't have to talk. I was low-key scrolling through sports highlights, and Chloe was glued to her phone, obviously. Her smile, though, that little upturn of the lip fast and gone, like she was hiding a great hand in poker, that was a major red flag. She set her phone face down on the coffee table and stretched, feigning exhaustion. I'm wiped. Long day. Think I'm gonna hit the sack early, babe. Bet, I said, keeping my eyes on the TV. That was my usual move. Agreeable, chill, the husband who doesn't ask follow-up questions. For months, our life had been this predictable loop. Monday, Tuesday, fine. Wednesday, she'd have yoga. Thursday, it was Sierra's place. Friday, she was too drained. We used to be thick as thieves. Me and Chloe. Now it felt like she was a tourist in our own house, just dropping by for a wardrobe change. Tonight was a Wednesday, supposed to be a quiet night at home. But she'd been extra nice all day, made my favorite chicken parmesan, asked about my project at the firm, even gave me a quick shoulder rub. It was classic deflection, a cheap distraction to guilt me into being quiet later. I waited until she was in the shower, the water running loud enough to be an acoustic barrier. I picked up her phone. No cap, I hadn't done this in years. It felt slimy, but my gut was screaming. You don't ignore that kind of internal noise. The screen lit up with her most recent text chain, labeled simply S. I scrolled to the bottom, S. Tonight, my place. He's clueless. Chloe, bet, leaving here by 8. Will say I'm too stressed to stay up. LOLS, slay, don't be late. I placed the phone back down, my hand steady. My first instinct, the one that used to run the show, was to blow up, demand answers, toss a chair across the room. But that guy? He was mid. He'd just end up looking like a jealous simp, begging for a tearful apology that meant nothing. That was her script, and I was done acting my part. I took a slow, deep breath, tasting the roasted garlic from dinner. I didn't feel rage. I felt cold, surgical clarity. My wife wasn't stressed. She was bored, and now I had the facts, the whole charade. It was over. When she came out, wrapped in a fluffy towel, she gave me a quick, artificial smile. Sweet dreams. Handsome. You too, fam, I replied, not looking up. She kissed the air somewhere near my hairline and was in bed 5 minutes later. At 8:15 p.m., I heard the distinct sound of her car pulling out of the driveway. Not a whisper of a goodbye, just the sound of a garage door closing and a lie driving away. I got off the couch and walked to my home office. No histrionics. Time to put in the work. My first call was to Finn. Finn is my guy, a lawyer, but before that, he ran security for some high-profile tech execs. He knows how to get the drop on people without being extra. Yo, Finn. Got a situation. Need a solid for me? No questions asked, no drama, just intel. Finn's voice was dry, professional. What's the tea? And don't tell me it's the HOA again, Leo. Worse. It's Chloe. I need to know where she's actually spending her Wednesday nights. I've got a hunch it's not her friend Sierra's. I need a clean tale, a pin drop, and maybe one high-quality, time-stamped photo. That's it. I'm not playing cop here, I'm just collecting evidence. I gave him the address I suspected, a fancy condo downtown that her so-called friend Sierra could never afford. I gave him the make and model of her car. Copy that. I'll send a runner. This is on the DL, right? No cap. I'm not saying anything to anyone until I have my ducks in a row. When I move, it's game over. Bet. Get some rest, man. We got you. I hung up, feeling the first real shift in power. For months, I'd been the one waiting, wondering, feeling shook. Now I was the one moving the pieces. The next morning, Chloe breezed in around 9 a.m., hair damp, dressed in athleisure, holding 2 coffees, one for her, one for me. The performance was on point. Morning? Sorry I'm late. Sierra and I had a deep dive into some crazy new yoga flow. So intense. Felt like I barely slept. I took the coffee. Thanks. Hope you got what you needed. You seem, energized. Gotta find that vibe, you know? How was your night? she asked, a little too brightly, avoiding eye contact as she checked her reflection in the microwave door. Quiet. Ordered a pizza. Worked on a spreadsheet, mid stuff. She chuckled, a light, relieved sound. You're such a homebody, Leo. And you're a social butterfly, I said, letting the words sit there just a tiny bit too sharp. She didn't catch it. She was already scrolling through her morning texts, her focus somewhere far away. That's when I realized the revenge wouldn't be a single angry confrontation. That was too easy, too quick a fix for her. She thrived on drama and then the easy, tearful resolution. No, this had to be a slow burn strategy, a calculated withdrawal. I wasn't going to kick her out. I was going to make the marriage irrelevant. Phase 1. The information blackout. I started by changing my passcode on everything. My laptop, my private phone line, the shared Wi-Fi password to a complex one she'd never guess. I moved all my personal documents, stock portfolio statements, my will, family photos, to a secure, encrypted drive I kept in my office safe. I was separating the assets of my life from the asset of her life. Then I hit the shared calendar. I deleted every recurring event. Dinner with the Millers, Saturday farmer's market, even Leo's birthday. Everything. The calendar was now blank. When she asked about it over dinner, a rare actual dinner together, I played it cool. What happened to the calendar? It's empty. I had my spin class on there for Friday. Oh, that. Yeah, it was too much. Too much noise. I cleaned it up. Look, if you need a plan, text me. If you're not texting to confirm, I'm making my own plans. We're both adults, right? Let's keep it simple. She stared at me, her fork midair. That's how you know you've landed a hit. It wasn't a question of the calendar. It was the abrupt change in my predictability. You're being extra, Leo. It's a calendar. What's the big deal? No cap, it's not. The big deal is I'm done living by default. If you want me in your week, you'll have to book me. I smiled, a genuine smile this time, because I felt good. I felt free. Otherwise, I'm booked. She didn't push it. She hated confrontation unless she was the victim. She just frowned, muttered, whatever, and went back to her salad. 2 days later on Friday, Finn texted me. A simple photo, Chloe getting out of her car in front of the downtown condo. The timestamp was 8:32 p.m. In the background, a man stood on the balcony, waiting, leaning against the railing. Not blurry, not questionable, crystal clear. Finn's follow-up text was just one word, proof. I stared at the image. The guy was mid-30s, decent-looking, wearing a designer hoodie. Not Sierra. Definitely not her. I deleted the photo from my phone right away, but the image was already burned into my memory. It wasn't pain I felt, but a final quiet acknowledgement. Now I had the facts, the hard truth. I wasn't the clueless husband anymore. I was the architect of the fallout, and the first step of my revenge was to make sure she wasn't just losing a husband, she was losing her safety net. I went online and applied for an apartment downtown, a high-rise, all glass and concrete, totally the opposite of our suburban house. I put a down payment on a storage unit the size of a garage. I started running a separate credit check on myself. I was building a new life, parallel to hers, and she had no idea. That night, she texted me at 11:30 p.m. Spending the night at Sierra's. Need some girl time, LOL. Don't wait up! I just replied, bet the trap was set. All I had to do was wait for the right moment to spring it. The truth was out, and I was holding all the cards. She thought she was slaying her double life. She was about to realize I was about to ghost her completely. My plan wasn't about anger anymore. It was about distance. I wasn't going to beg or plead. I was going to make the space between us so wide, she'd finally notice how much work it took to cross it. Work she wasn't willing to do. After Finn sent the photo, the marriage was dead. The official paperwork was just a formality. The real divorce was happening right here, in our house, through a series of tactical retreats. I started phase 2. The financial wall. Chloe loved the lifestyle. The house, the weekend trips, the drip, it was all high-key important to her. She used to manage the fun money, always assuming the bag would be there. I immediately froze the joint credit card we used for extras, restaurants, shopping, those spontaneous weekend getaways she always booked and then bailed on. I opened a new private checking account and routed 80% of my direct deposit there. The old joint account, it got enough to cover the mortgage and utilities. Nothing more. When she tried to buy a new designer bag online on Tuesday, the card got declined. She came stomping into my office. holding her phone like it was a live grenade.
What the heck is going on?
The card got rejected. I look like a total simp trying to buy a Coach tote, Leo. I took my time clicking save on a document. I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice low-key calm. Oh, that? Yeah, I pulled the plug on that account. It was getting messy. Too much overlap with my business travel expenses. I figured, let's keep it simple. The joint account is strictly for bills, mortgage, utilities, groceries. Everything else? That's on you. She was stunned. Her eyes were wide, and the usual flustered anger was mixed with genuine alarm. On me? What do you mean on me? We're married. We have a financial life. We have a shared residence, Chloe. My money is mine. Your money is yours. We split the essentials down the middle, like we always have. The extras? If you want to slay with new clothes or take a fancy spa day, you gotta use your own coin. Seems fair, right? Order beats chaos, remember? She hated that phrase. It was a jab at her chaotic, commitment-free schedule. This is petty. This is truly, utterly petty, Leo. You're punishing me for having a job and having friends. No, Cap, I'm not. I'm just refusing to subsidize the time I'm not invited to. Consider it a clarity measure. I'm not going to be the guy who bankrolls your life while you're out on your vibe checks. She scoffed, tossing her perfect blonde hair. You are impossible. Totally mid right now. She turned and stormed out, but I noticed the pause at the doorway. She was already calculating. She was seeing the wires cut. The free ride was over. The next tactical step was the physical separation. Not a full move, not yet. Just making her feel like a guest. I started with the garage. That Friday I spent 5 hours cleaning it out. I built new shelving and moved all my tools, my camping gear, my fishing equipment, and even my winter coats from the master closet into the garage. I didn't just move things. I made my side of the closet ghost her. When she saw the gaping hole on my side of the closet, she didn't even ask. She just looked at it like a monument to my absence. Organizing again? She asked that night, her voice edged with caution. Yeah, making space. Turns out I use the garage more than the upstairs closet. Seems like a better fit for my gear. Your gear. Right. So now you're basically living out of the garage. I'm prioritizing efficiency. Chloe, that's what I do. She leaned in, trying to deploy her usual charm, the soft, easy closeness that used to melt me. Look, I know I've been a little flaky lately. Work is insane, but I miss you. Why don't we order in tonight, forget the rules, and just chill? Old Leo would have crumbled, accepting the meager offering. New Leo was Teflon. I appreciate that, but I've already got plans with Finn. We're grabbing a burger and watching the game. We've had it on the books since Monday. You didn't text to confirm, so I booked my time. Her smile went stone cold. She hated being beaten at her own game. Seriously? You're blowing me off for Finn and a mid-burger? I'm keeping my word. I respect my commitments. You should try it sometime. She didn't say another word. She grabbed her own keys and was out the door in 10 minutes. I knew where she was headed. Finn had already confirmed her boyfriend, let's call him Jax, was back in town after a business trip. I called Finn. Change of plans, fam. My place. Burgers are on me. Bring the tea. When Finn and his girlfriend Harper showed up, I didn't mince words. I told them everything, showing Finn the original photo again. Harper was initially angry for me, but Finn was all business. Man, she is extra, Harper said, shaking her head. The nerve. Forget the nerve, Finn interrupted, tearing into his burger. The move here, Leo, is to get ahead of her narrative. You let her walk out. She's going to spill the tea to everyone that you became controlling. You cut her off. You got crazy. No cap. I agreed. That's why I need the final piece. I need her to look like the obvious L when the final play drops. Finn nodded. We need to introduce a witness. A third party who sees the pattern. Not just a text, but a real-life observation of the separation she's caused. The opportunity arrived that weekend. We had a joint invitation to a big neighborhood cookout hosted by the Jensens. Chloe, predictably, had already claimed a migraine and a need for a quiet, tech-free weekend. I RSVP'd just me. I arrived at the cookout solo. Everyone knew me, the easygoing, reliable guy. Hey, Leo, where's Chloe? Mrs. Jensen asked, handing me a beer. Oh, she's taking a much-needed mental health weekend. She's been insane with work lately. She said she was going to disconnect at home. I made sure to use her words, the little lies she used to cover her tracks. Around 6:00 p.m., in a move that was truly cringeworthy but predictable, Chloe showed up. Perfect hair, perfect dress, phone in hand. She realized instantly that everyone knew I was there, and she couldn't risk the optics of being a no-show. She glided over to me, giving me a quick, performative hug. Hey, handsome, surprise. My headache was mid, so I decided to brave the crowds. She leaned in and whispered, "Don't look so shook." "Play nice." I smiled wider than I felt. "Good to see you, fam. Thought you were on a tech-free retreat. You got that phone glued to your hand, though." She laughed it off, but the moment was set. She spent the next hour working the room, but the conversations kept drifting back to me. "Leo, that trip to Big Sur you took last month, was Chloe with you?" asked our neighbor Tom. Chloe jumped in fast. "Ugh, no, that was a guy trip. He literally only told me about it 2 days before." "Super flaky planning, Leo." I kept my eyes on Tom, ignoring her completely. "Actually, I put it on the shared calendar 3 weeks out. Labeled it Big Sur Weekend. When no confirmation came in, I booked it with Finn. Remember, Tom, plans require confirmation. I'm sticking to my rules now." The silence was heavier than the air on a humid summer day. Tom just nodded slowly. "Right, structure. I feel that, Leo. Smart move." Chloe's face was a masterpiece of barely contained fury. I had corrected her lie in front of a witness, using my own calm structure as the weapon. Later, she pulled me aside, her voice a low hiss. "You are making me look like an L. You are making me the villain in front of everyone." "No cap, I'm just giving an honest account of our shared calendar. If you don't like the story, maybe change your material. You are trying to break me." "No, I'm trying to make sure I'm not broken. I'm done waiting for a wife who is always elsewhere. I'm getting my time back." I walked away and started talking to Mrs. Jensen about her prize-winning petunias. Chloe left 20 minutes later, without a single goodbye to anyone. Everyone saw it. The narrative was shifting. The calculated freeze was working. I had the facts, the money was separated, and the witnesses were in place. I was ready for the checkmate. The freeze had done its job. Chloe was clearly shook. The money was gone, the calendar was blank, and the neighbors were giving her that polite side-eye look. She was losing control of the narrative, which to her was the only thing that mattered. She tried to pivot back to charm, desperate to restart the old dynamic where I was the predictable homebody she could rely on. She showed up at my office downtown on a Tuesday, unannounced. A rare high-effort move. She was carrying a bag from a fancy bakery. "Hey, handsome. Got you a bear claw. You looked mid yesterday on that video call, thought you needed a sugar boost." I thanked her, but didn't invite her past the reception desk. "I appreciate that, Chloe, but I'm swamped. Gotta get this report locked down." She leaned in, dropping her voice. "Come on, just 10 minutes. Let's talk about that long weekend trip we used to take to the coast. Let's book something, just us. We can still be us." It was the classic final offer, the future promise to cover up the present lie. "We can't, Chloe. I'm already booked. Going with Finn to check out that new fly fishing spot upstate." I paused, letting her see my complete lack of reaction. "Plus, I need a confirmed plan 48 hours out." "You missed the window." "No cap." Her smile went brittle. She realized I was using her own flakiness as a weapon against her. "You're extra, Leo. You're pushing me away with this attitude. I'm getting out of the way of your choices." "You want space? You got it. I'm just making my life a place I actually want to be." She stormed off, leaving the bear claw on the reception counter like a forgotten offering. I didn't chase her. The old Leo would have felt the guilt. The new Leo felt the victory. The next night was Thursday, her designated Sierra's place night. It was the night I'd been waiting for. I was home, sitting at the kitchen island, meticulously going through the lease agreement for my new apartment. Everything was ready to sign. The only thing missing was the final, undeniable proof. My phone vibrated. A text from Finn. "Your 7:15 p.m. pin is not at her friend's. She's at the Edison Hotel bar. Corner booth." With Jax. Photo incoming. IYKYK. My heart didn't race. It just settled, heavy and cold. No surprise, just confirmation. The photo dropped 30 seconds later. It was high quality, clear as day. Chloe was leaning across the small table, laughing, her hand resting near his phone. The body language was unmistakable. Intimate, relaxed, and definitely not the girl time she'd been peddling for months. Slay, I thought, the bitterness thick in my throat. I had the smoking gun. I put the phone down and stared at the granite countertop. There was no need for a confrontation, no need for a messy shouting match. That was her script, the one that ended with me apologizing for my temper. I had a different ending. A clean one. I took the photo, forwarded it to my attorney, and saved a copy to the encrypted drive. Then I texted Chloe, one final, non-accusatory text, "Where are you?" She replied almost instantly, showing she was actively on her phone, not doing yoga. "Stop pushing me. I'll come home when I want." You're cringe. The arrogance in that reply, the casual contempt, was the final screw I needed to turn. I opened the hall closet and pulled out the gear I had stashed there. A heavy-duty drill, a box of screws, and a new military-grade deadbolt lock. I didn't rush. It took me 15 minutes, metal against wood, drilling out the old strike plate and securing the new lock. I checked it twice. Click, click. Solid. Next, I went through the house and filled 2 large black trash bags with her essentials. Toiletries, a few expensive jackets, shoes, her work laptop, her favorite jewelry box. I wasn't throwing her life out. I was just limiting her access to my life. I stacked the 2 black bags neatly on the doormat outside the front door. I texted her again. "Short, brutal, and factual, as you wish. But you're not coming back into this house." I attached the photo Finn had sent. The 3 dots on my screen appeared, vanished, and stayed gone for 5 minutes. That was 5 minutes of her world crashing down. Then, the sound of her tires screeching into the driveway. She was home, ASAP. I stood in the entryway 10 feet back from the door. She tried her key, the familiar jingle ending with the sickening thud of metal hitting the new deadbolt. "Open the door, Leo! What the hell is this? Open up!" she screamed, pounding on the heavy oak. I spoke through the wood, my voice low and steady. "I don't owe you that. You lost the right to walk in without my say. You can't do this. I need to talk. You don't know what you think you know." Her voice was rising to a frantic pitch. I sent the photo to her one last time. The ping on her end was loud even through the door. "I know enough. I know the last 6 months were a lie, and the photo is your signature on the divorce papers. I'm not playing this game anymore, Chloe. You're ending our marriage over one picture?" She wailed. "I ended it when respect died. The picture is just the final receipt. I'm not your warden, but this isn't your hotel either." I heard the sound of a neighbor's door opening across the street. People were watching. Good. Witnesses make denial expensive. I opened the door, just far enough to extend the chain, enough for her to see my face. Calm. "Finished, and the 2 black bags on the mat. Take these," I said, nodding toward the bags. "You made your choice. You can go stay with Jax or Sierra or whoever is actually worth your time, but this home is closed to you." She reached for the door handle, her eyes full of genuine tears now, the performative kind, hoping to pull me back to the old script. I shut the door, the chain clanking, and then, with a slow, deliberate movement, I threw the deadbolt. Click. "You lost the right to walk into my home without my say," I finished. I heard the last sound she made, a defeated, choked sob. I walked to my office, picked up the phone, and called my attorney. "I need to sign those lease and divorce documents." "Everything is in order." No cap. My phone buzzed one last time. It was a text from Chloe. "You're impossible." I didn't reply. I muted my phone, deleted her number, and signed the documents. I had done what I needed to do. The revenge wasn't loud. It was silent, clean, and complete. I had finally won my life back.